It has been a long time since Laura and I treated ourselves to a double feature, seeing 2 movies on the big screen in one day. Today we did it. We're going to review both. Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin.
I'm Laura.
And this is our spoiler-free review for both Bad Times at the El Royale and First Man. It was awesome that we did a double feature today. It's been a long time since we did that.
Well, and we did the double feature because I didn't want to see First Man and he didn't want to see Bad Times at the El Royale. And so we're like, well, there's one at 9 and another 11:30. We can double feature.
That's
and we're
right.
Like, so we went for it.
Yeah, so we went for it. I went and saw the movie she wanted to see, I had no interest in, and we went and saw the movie I wanted to see, and she had no interest in.
And I still don't.
And I think overall, we were both let down today.
Yes.
Yes, so let's dive into it. Let's start with Bad Times at the El Royale.
Yeah, it had a very independent film type of feel. It didn't feel like a big box office movie or anything along those lines. And if you enjoy independent movies, you will enjoy this movie because it was a unique story. I didn't predict it. I mean, you could kind of guess a lot of the stuff that was going to go on, but I by all means did not predict half the stuff that happened. And you see in this movie, like in the trailers, you see that everybody's there for a different reason. Yeah. And so there wasn't really a plot, and they were all there for different reasons, and because one little thing happened to one little thing in this, they all got pulled into it together, and so it's like none of them knew each other. It just...
But I will say that was the most interesting thing. What I enjoyed most was all the different characters. I mean, Jeff Bridges was awesome.
He did an excellent
And I don't want to dive too deep into his character. Because, well, actually, I can't dive too deep into any of these characters because all of them have certain aspects of their personality and stuff that if I would have dived too deep into it, it would spoil things, so I'm not going to do that. But I loved John Hamm.
John Hamm did a good job.
Awesome.
I mean, I never watched Mad Men.
No.
So I haven't really seen him in what his
But every time I see John Hamm, like, you didn't watch Baby Driver.
No,
but John Hamm was excellent in Baby Driver. And every time I see John Hamm, he's just excellent at whatever he does.
I was actually disappointed with Chris Hemsworth.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if I was disappointed. It was...
Well, it was...
It was a weird character.
It was a very weird character choice. And I don't know. It just... I've seen him do weird and kooky stuff before, and I would have been okay with it. But this was just... I don't know. I didn't find him believable. That was me personally. But I felt the other characters did a good job carrying it.
I didn't find him unbelievable. I thought he was pretty believable in that role. And it's...
Yeah, but like all...
it's just the character was weird.
And that was weird. And
well, there was a ton of monologues. The movie was all about monologues and dialogue. And so, like, if you like that... and
you'll love it.
Yeah, then you'll love it. Now, me, again, I love my superhero stuff, my sci-fi stuff, and my fantasy stuff. So this movie... I actually didn't hate it. I didn't walk out of it going, this is the best thing ever.
Oh, no, I walked out going, I don't ever need to see that again.
So let me say this. If you're in my camp, and you really are a fan of more of the mainstream films, this one, I think it is worth a watch, but probably better for a rental. But if you love movies with that different, offbeat kind of feel, that's character-driven and dialogue-driven, then this is the movie for you, and it's definitely worth seeing on the big screen.
And there's no special effects necessarily that you have to see, where you have to feel like you have to see it on the big screen. Yeah. Because, you know, there's some things where the cinematography is amazing. Yeah. And you have to see it on the big screen. That was not the case for this movie.
I'm going to give this a C+ because I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was great, so it was kind of average for me. What would you give it?
I'll say a C. I was going to say C-, but I'll go to a C. Just because, I mean, if it was on TV and I was bored, I might kind of watch it again because the acting was really well done.
The acting was good, yeah.
And I felt like they casted it right. I won't buy it. I won't actively go seek it out again.
So now, let's dive into First Man.
Yes.
Now,
he wanted to see this one.
I really did. And you know why I wanted to? And I told you this, but I'm saying it for their benefit. I wanted to see it because of Apollo 13. And I know, directed by Ron Howard, starring Tom Hanks and Bill Paxton. I mean, it was on Ed Harris, every level. Apollo 13 was just so excellent. I was watching the trailers for this, and I think my expectations were in the full wrong place, because I even rewatched a trailer before doing this review just to make sure I wasn't totally off base, and I feel like the trailers give a more intense vibe than what the movie is. And I thought, overall, this movie was incredibly slow.
Oh, incredibly slow.
Incredibly slow.
So me, who had not, I don't really think I've even seen a trailer for it. I really don't. all I could think of, I'm like, is it's going to be slow? But the reason that I said okay to the double features, I'm like, well, maybe it could be like Apollo 13. Maybe it could be like some of the other movies, like Sully, that was based on true story.
Yeah,
that was
Sully
really
was
good.
really good.
And I'm blanking on others right now, but I know there's more out there. And so, well, Sully, another Tom Hanks.
Yes.
Maybe it's just Tom Hanks I can pull this off.
Yeah, maybe
But for me, it was slow. It was not necessarily about the moon landing. It was about Neil Armstrong's life. And about how he, from a certain point in his life, and that is where he decided to go and join the space program and become one of the astronauts.
Yeah.
And the long, a 4 or 5 year process it took until he landed on the moon, and the drama with the family and the other astronauts that passed away before, and like all the different stuff like that. That's not spoilers, it's history.
Yeah.
So, but it's just, it was,
I will say,
very slow.
The stuff that was by far the most interesting in the movie was showing, like, they really did a good job showing what kicked off our race to get to the moon is the Russians constantly beating us into space back in that time. And so it was we
really, had to be first because we're Americans.
Yeah, we had to be first, and they kept beating us, so we had to just pick the next hardest thing so we could get there. So that was interesting. And the first time, like, they get into like the Gemini and they throw Neil Armstrong in there, and they do it through like their point of view, the point of view of the two astronauts in there, and so you see how small and cramped and claustrophobic that little
I never realized how tight it was. Yeah.
And so they get in there and they lay fully like back on their backs, and then you hear all the weird sounds as, you know, everything does what it does, but you don't, you know, it's not like other movies where they cut to outside and show you what's happening. So they did a good job giving you the effect of what is it like to be in this claustrophobic cockpit, hearing these crazy noises, and then you're launched into space. So that was interesting. The whole thing in Gemini where they were, you know, trying to learn how to attach to the other ship that was launched up there and dock with it and all that stuff. That was a really intense scene. Anytime they did the real space stuff and they got out there and they were experimenting, they were trying to figure out how to do this so they could get to the moon, I feel like they did a good job, like, showing you how hard that was, how scary that was, and kind of putting you on edge.
I just was frustrated because they had a great cast of actors.
Yeah.
Like, people that I have seen in other things, and I love them in it. And I was connected to no one in this movie. They tried to give me an emotional to some of it. And I'm like, they probably needed another 20 minutes of character development for the other people. So, like, really, when he went up into outer space to go on the moon, I'm like, I wouldn't care if he died right now.
Too far!
I'm like, that's how little investment I had in this movie, and I was very, very disappointed in it.
See, the way they portrayed Neil Armstrong in this movie, and I don't know how accurate it is to real life, he was very withdrawn and within.
Which, I don't know if that's accurate to real life or not.
I think it might be.
I bet it is, because I don't think they would have done it that way.
Well, based on all the interviews and stuff he did after the moon, he just doesn't want to talk about this stuff.
Yeah, he's very reserved.
So he was very reserved, very quiet, but what was so hard about that on the big screen is it's like, okay, well,
you don't get connected.
He's withdrawn from me now. Yeah. So I'm going to give it a C.
Oh, I'm giving it a D.
Yeah.
D for disappointed.
Yeah. I mean,
I really was disappointed.
There was things about it that I liked, but I agree, I was pretty disappointed. And I know it's because my expectations were totally wrong. I went in expecting Apollo 13.
Oh, I knew we weren't going to get that. See, for me, it was a D because I won't ever watch this movie again. No. If it's on TV and somebody's watching it, I'll leave the room. I have no desire to have that in my mind again. Hope I won't remember it. It will not be in my top movies ever. Might be in my worst for this year.
Oh.
Possibly. And it's not that it was filmed badly. It's like it didn't draw me in.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can watch a junky movie, but you have the best acting ever, and it will draw you in. And I had nothing.
That was my problem with this movie. I didn't feel drawn in. Some of the stuff they did in space and stuff like that did draw me in, but overall, like, when they're trying to show his personal life and how he treated his family, I was like, why are you so cold to your family? And I was like, okay, whatever. There was no real explanation other than they had their daughter who passed away, and that's like right in the beginning. So, if you saw these movies, what were your thoughts? Be sure to let us know in the comments. And this is just us. This is just kind of what we thought when we pulled our double feature today. What were your thoughts? Let us know in the comments. And while you're there, hit the subscribe button, become a Durbanian, hit the bell by the subscribe button so you're notified for our next review. Like we got our Harry Potter review coming out here real soon and all kinds of great stuff. We're going through all of them. We're going through all of them. So hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, and become a Durbanian. I'm Durbin.
I'm Laura.
Thanks for checking out Durbania.